You're drunk.
Yeah, and you're crazy.
What?
And I'll be sober tomorrow, and you'll be crazy for the rest of your life.
What?
Hello and welcome to Culture Cafe, a rundown of literary, film, and music history. This is for the week of September 21st. If you enjoy this video, please, by all means, click on the like button. If you would enjoy getting notifications as to when new videos are posted, please subscribe to my channel. We have quite a few notable birthdays this week, as well as book, film, and music releases in history. Just a side note, on September 15th, I posted my last audio podcast through Podbean. I tried to keep up with doing both podcast and YouTube, but I knew deep down that I would have to give up one of them. Let's call it was time and energy constraints mostly. I'm having way too much fun making YouTube videos. So here I am. If you are one of my audio podcast listeners, welcome to my YouTube channel. Now let's dive into this week's literary, film, and music history. September 21st, 1912 marks the birthday of the legendary Chuck Jones. He was predominantly known for his work with Warner Brothers cartoons. Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Sylvester, Tweety, Marvin the Martian, as well as 1966's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He was a true innovator in the art of hand-drawn animation. September 21st, 1937, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit was published by George Allen and Unwin in London. It received wide critical acclaim, being nominated for the Carnegie Medal and awarded a prize from the New York Herald Tribune for Best Juvenile Fiction. It is recognized as a classic in children's literature. I never thought of it being a children's book, and is one of the best-selling books of all time. With over 100 million copies sold. If you haven't read it, you should. If you have, you probably just read it again. September 21st, 1947, King of Horror, Stephen King, was born in Portland, Maine. King is, of course, an incredibly prolific American author, having penned almost 60 novels and over 200 short stories. Many of his works have been turned into blockbuster movies, some wonderful, some awful. His first published novel was Carrie, followed by Salem's Lot and The Shining. After that, he didn't stop. His nonfiction works, his memoir On Writing, is frequently used for instruction in creative writing courses. September 21st, 1976, Asylum Records releases Small Change, the fourth studio album by singer-songwriter and a national treasure, Tom Waits. His best-selling album until 1999 features the songs Tom Traubert's Blues and The Piano Has Been Drinking, Not Me. This album was my first introduction to Tom Waits in 1982, a freshman at SIU Carbondale, by a guy I made friends with over a game of chess. Mike Palmer, if you are out there somewhere, I never got to thank you for introducing me to the music of Tom Waits. I've been a huge fan ever since. There's a rumor to the cover of this album, that the stripper is actually the woman who plays Elvira, Cassandra Peterson. When asked about it, she says she doesn't remember if that is her or not. However, that is the rumor or the urban legend behind that album. September 21st, 1987, American jazz bassist Jaco Pastorius died from injuries sustained in a fight. Pastorius was trying to enter the Midnight Bottle Club in Wilton Manors, Florida, where he had been thrown out of earlier, and became involved in a fight and was brutally beaten by a bouncer. Pastorius fell into a coma and was put on life support. In 2006, Pastorius was voted the greatest bass player who has ever lived, a self-moniker also, by readers in Bass Guitar Magazine. He was a member of Weather Report and worked with various acts such as Joni Mitchell, and notably her albums Hejra and Don Juan's Reckless Daughter. September 22nd, 1598, author and playwright Ben Jonson was indicted on the charge of manslaughter for killing fellow actor Gabriel Spencer. He did this in a duel. He was saved from hanging for his ability to read a Bible verse of all things. He was branded on his thumb and imprisoned for a short time, where he converted to Catholicism. Johnson's career was largely unaffected from the crime and sentencing, as he was a successful playwright in his lifetime, being on the same level as fame as contemporary William Shakespeare. September 22nd, 1957 marks the birthday of singer, songwriter, novelist, and screenwriter Nick Cave. Known for his baritone voice, Cave's music is characterized by emotional intensity, a wide variety of influences, and lyrical obsessions with death, religion, love, and violence. And he's also my wife Valerie's favorite recording artist. Happy birthday, Nick Cave. September 23rd, 1926 marks the birthday of saxophonist John Coltrane. He was an American jazz saxophonist, bandleader, and composer. He is among the most influential and acclaimed figures in the history of jazz and 20th century music. Working in the bebop and hard bop idioms early in his career, Coltrane helped pioneer the use of modes and was one of the players at the forefront of free jazz. He led at least 50 recording sessions and appeared on many albums by other musicians, including Miles Davis and Thelonious Monk. Over the course of his career, Coltrane's music took on an increasingly a spiritual dimension, as was exemplified on his most acclaimed album, A Love Supreme in 1965, and others. After a fairly short life and career, John Coltrane died at the age of 40 from liver cancer on July 17, 1967, at Huntington Hospital in Long Island. There is speculation that a contributing factor to Coltrane's death was his earlier use of heroin and alcohol. His funeral was held 4 days later at St. Peter's Lutheran Church in New York City. The service was started by the Albert Ayler Quartet and finished by the Ornette Coleman Quartet. Coltrane is buried in Pine Lawn Memorial Park in Farmingdale, New York. Decades after his death, Coltrane remains influential, and he has received numerous posthumous awards, including a special Pulitzer Prize, and was even canonized by the African Orthodox Church. September 23rd, 1969, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, directed by George Roy Hill and starring Paul Newman and Robert Redford, of course, premieres at the Roger Sherman Theater in New Haven, Connecticut. Based very loosely on fact, this film tells the story of Wild West outlaws Robert Leroy Parker, known as Butch Cassidy, and played by Paul Newman, of course, and his partner Harry Longabaugh, the Sundance Kid, Robert Redford, who are on the run from a crack U.S. posse after a string of train robberies. The pair and Sundance's lover Etta Place, who is played by Catherine Ross, flee to Bolivia to escape the posse. In 2003, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The American Film Institute ranked Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid as the 73rd greatest American film on its AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies 10th Anniversary Edition list, and number 50 on the original list. In my opinion, this indeed is one of the greatest movies ever made, one of the greatest westerns, except for the soundtrack by Burt Bacharach.
No, not yet. Not until me and Harvey get the rules straightened out.
Rules? In a knife fight? No rules. What?
Well, if there ain't gonna be any rules, let's get the fight started. Someone count 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, go.
I was really rooting for you, Butch.
Well, thank you, Flatnose. That's what sustained me in my time of trouble.
That is one of my favorite scenes in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. September 23rd, 1973, Chilean poet Pablo Neruda died in the hospital after suffering from prostate cancer. Only 2 years earlier, Neruda had been awarded the Nobel Prize. However, his diagnosis and political involvement made life increasingly hard to live. He was reported to have called his wife from the hospital only hours before he died. He complained that, quote, they were giving him something that didn't feel good. And rumors circulated later that he may not have died of natural causes after all. To this day, an investigation into Neruda's death is ongoing. That's a long investigation, as it was recently discovered that he actually died of a staph infection, which could have possibly been given to him through an injection from someone who wanted him dead. September 24th, 1896, F. Scott Fitzgerald was born in St. Paul, Minnesota. Born to an upper middle class family, Fitzgerald moved to New York with his family and eventually studied at Princeton. He and his fabulous wife, Zelda, became celebrities and frequently socialized with other writers, including Ernest Hemingway and H.L. Mencken. The Fitzgeralds were a volatile couple due to Zelda's mental health issues. She was later hospitalized with schizophrenia and Scott's excessive drinking. He died at the age of 44 from heart failure in Hollywood, California. September 25th, 1897, William Faulkner was born in New Albany, Mississippi. Faulkner wrote throughout his entire life, but didn't become widely known until he won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1949. His novels, The Sound and the Fury, Light in August, and As I Lay Dying, are among the top works of American writers. Furthermore, his short story A Rose for Emily, I remember that well, is one of the most widely taught short stories today. September 25th, 1930 marks the birthday of Shel Silverstein. Most of you know him as a writer and cartoonist, author of The Giving Tree, Where the Sidewalk Ends, and Light in the Attic. But did you know he wrote some pretty well-known hit songs? It's true. Silverstein wrote A Boy Named Sue, made popular by Johnny Cash, the cover of the Rolling Stone, and Sylvia's Mother by Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. And I did not know this. He wrote The Unicorn by the Irish Rovers. September 26, 1888, T.S. Eliot was born in St. Louis, Missouri. In 1914, Eliot studied in Oxford, which began a lifelong preference to life in England. In 1927, Eliot became a British citizen and converted to Anglicanism. Eliot first attracted widespread attention for the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock from 1915, which at the time of its publication was considered outlandish. It was followed by The Wastelands, Hollow Men, and Ash Wednesday, and the Four Quartets. He wrote 7 plays as well, including Murder in the Cathedral and The Cocktail Party. He was awarded the 1948 Nobel Prize in Literature for his, quote, outstanding pioneer contribution to present-day poetry. T.S. Eliot remains a leading voice in poetry, with his works from The Wasteland and the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock still being widely taught in English classes today. September 27, 1962, Rachel Carson, a marine biologist, published her findings on the detrimental effects of synthetic pesticides on the environment in her book Silent Spring. Carson and her team of scientists expected serious backlash from the American public for the book's claims, but instead it was widely supported by scientists alike and became serialized. The book's publication led to a rise in environmentalism, as well as the formation of the Environmental Protection Agency under Richard Nixon. Both the Modern Library List and the National Review named Silent Spring as one of the best works of nonfiction from the 20th century. This week's history seems comparatively less eventful, which is probably the reason this week's video is a little shorter. Nevertheless, thanks for watching. I will be on Radio Silence next week. There are a few things with the channel that I need to catch up on. I will be back on October 5th with more literary, film, and music history in Culture Cafe. Until then, be kind, be safe, and keep reading. And please support your local independent bookstore and your local public library. Peace.